Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning.
Good to see
Well,
you.
good afternoon here.
Yeah, that's so strange, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
morning for me, afternoon for you. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on to Creative Connections.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah,
You're
it's cool.
welcome. Yeah, I'm very excited to hear more about your process and practice. So, you were born in England and now you're living in Tamaki Makaurau in Auckland,
Yeah.
West Auckland. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you love about living in New Zealand?
Um, I think the main thing is like the vibe. It's a way different vibe from the UK. It's really quite relaxed and it's quite a chilled vibe. And even though I'm in Auckland and it's still a bit of a rat race, I just enjoy the fact that it's a little bit more nature oriented, you know? And I've got two kids as well, so being here, it feels like they have a bit more of an outdoor playground compared to
Yeah.
where I was from. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. And you were born, as I said, in England. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah. I was born in Doncaster, which is in South Yorkshire. And I grew up in a little suburb called Hexthorpe mainly. It was originally in Rosington, but then I grew up in Hexthorpe. And yeah, I just came from quite a simple upbringing, really. Um, yeah, with my mum and dad and my little sister. And yeah, we did lots of drawing, lots of art, lots of creative stuff. Um, but yeah, I didn't do too much traveling when I was younger. I think the first time I got on a plane, I was about 20, 21. So I got real thirsty to adventure around and see bigger things and do expand, on what I was doing and what I already knew. So I think that's what gave me the itch, I think, to come.
And how old were you when you came out to New Zealand?
Um, I think I was 21, 22. I already had a friend here who was the same age. She was from Doncaster. And she, originally, I wanted to move to Italy because my dad lived there for a while. But he was just on the end of that and he wanted to come back to the UK. So I already had like the bug and I wanted to get out. My friend was here and she was like, "Oh, just come to New Zealand." I was like, "Oh, I don't know. It's like the other side of the planet. It's a bit of a jump." I've not lived anywhere else yet. But nah, she was like, "Oh, just come." She actually bought my visa and sent it to my email address.
Really?
And then yeah, and then I came and met her in Queenstown. Yeah, then it went from there.
Yeah. Well, Queenstown's a good place to start.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really nice down there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So beautiful. And
yeah.
I have read that your dad had quite a big influence on you creatively. Can you talk to us a little bit about your drawing on the bus and all those cool things you did with your dad?
Yeah, he's really creative. He's done teaching art and stuff while I was a kid. He's a jeweler now mainly by trade. He does a lot of arty kind of jewelry, contemporary jewelry. But when I was younger, yeah, it was just something nice that we did together. I think he noticed that I had a bit of a thing for drawing, and he knew what qualities would come with the skill building of having the patience, I think, to learn how to draw. So he used to take me, like, we used to go to places, and my parents didn't drive, so we'd like catch the bus or we'd ride our mountain bikes and go to a spot and just draw from life. And like sometimes it was even like in a notepad that had lines on it, or I just used to take a biro sometimes, just like whatever I had. But yeah,
Mm,
we just used to go down and just draw like bridges or like duck ponds or yeah, the inside of buses or public transport.
how
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, and that's such a great way for you to kind of think in a bit of a multimedia way, I suppose, instead of sort of thinking I have to use paints or I have to use charcoal or whatever. I guess it's
Yeah.
just that was the beginning of your multimedia practice or your mixed media
Yeah.
practice. Yeah.
I think I'll always love line because of that, because I started with just whatever I could, which was generally just a pencil or a biro or a fine liner sometimes. And I really enjoy doing line drawing for that reason. It was kind of a hard transition out of that, to be honest. That was like
Yeah.
my bread and butter. So moving to paint was a bit alien. I do
Yeah.
really enjoy it now, But yeah, it was a really nice base just to, because you've got to really simplify form when you're using a pen. You don't, it's, yeah, it's kind of like you've got to work with what you've got to simplify it really well to be able to get that texture down and that mark making down with just a pen, with just line.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is such a great base, such a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be accurate, otherwise, yeah, well, it kind of has to be accurate. You've got to be able to record it to some extent to, yeah, to that kind of, trying to think how to word it.
To capture what you're
Yeah.
wanting to
Yeah.
capture. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So how did you
Yeah.
find high school, when you'd already sort of were into drawing and were sort of had your own style, I suppose. How did you find high school art?
I actually really clashed with it, eh?
Yeah, I can imagine.
I I I think I tried instinctively to keep my the way that I felt about going off of instinct. I tried to keep with that because it served me really well in my mark making and producing my what I felt was my best work. I still enjoyed doing all the different tasks and learning all the different skill application and doing things like that. But I still really enjoyed observational drawing, and I loved self direction. Like, I really enjoyed being the manager of my own projects. So I tried to keep that in there, and I think that's where I clashed with it. The teachers were like, "There's a mark scheme. You've got to hit these things. Not You're not going to get the marks, regardless of how well you can draw or all these other great qualities that you can bring to the table. You're not going to get the grades that you want to." So yeah, and I didn't actually have a very nice teacher in school. I think she took a bit of a disliking to me because I was so bold about what I wanted to do.
Really?
So yeah, so I ended up leaving sixth form, and then I tried again in college. I wasn't really going for the qualification. I just wanted something fresh and new to keep me in my practice. I just wanted to stay proactive and pick up some new skills and socialize with other people that had similar minded approach. Um, but I found the same again with the mark scheme and stuff when it actually came to earning the brownie points that the department wanted me to get to be able to say that they'd got everyone over the line and stuff. Yeah, we clashed a little bit, I think, when it came to scoring my marks. When I tried
Mm.
to, there was boxes to tick, and there were, yeah, it wasn't really
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, and that's the downside of being in an institution, I suppose, is that
Yeah,
sort of trying to put you into a certain box and, you know,
yeah.
which
There
can
were
be
some
tricky.
really great teachers. I had some really great tutors. There was a guy called Graham Firth. Him and his missus who worked at the school that I was at, they were great, and they were very like good influences at the time for me that really encouraged me to keep a hold of that self direction and stuff.
Mm.
Um, yeah, Graham was like a print teacher that I had in college, and he was really cool too. But yeah, unfortunately, some of the teachers that were there to hit the score system weren't best pleased with me sometimes.
Mm. Such a shame, isn't it? So how did you go? What happened after high school? And were you thinking I need to be an artist, like I'm an artist, like that's what I want to do? How are you feeling?
um, I kind of had a break for a bit. My first initial thought was that I was going to have a bit of a break, and then get into Falmouth, hopefully, the Falmouth University that's down south in Cornwall. They were one of the universities that were really based, their course was based on just strictly application. So it wasn't necessarily like having to have your whole ideal about what you wanted to do first and then make the work. You could make the work and then explain it after. And it was more about skill development and stuff and things like that. So I was way more interested in their course. I was going to do that as a mature student if I could get into there based off of skill instead of off of points that I'd collected. That was my idea, but I ended up taking a break for like a good while. And then it was when I came to New Zealand. So I must have had about 5 or 6 years off. I still sketched in between and I still drew. I took on practicing more stuff with acrylic markers and things like that. And just having a play with different things that I enjoyed that were still pen. I still was doing heaps of pen stuff at that time, but it was when I came to New Zealand and that I had kids that I was like at home and looking for something that was fit in with my, free time. Well, you say free time when you've had kids, but the time that you have while you're at home and you're not working and things like that. That was the time that I was like, I think I'm going to try and pick it up because I think if I'm going to try and do it and apply myself and commit to it, now is going to be the time.
Mm,
So, yeah,
yeah.
it was
Oh, that's
during
great.
COVID actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's when I started to take the plunge and I bought some paints during COVID.
Oh, that's so good. So, how old are you now, Nat?
I'm 32.
32. Beautiful. So that's great that you've discovered it. Now, do you feel like you're an artist, a practicing artist? That's how you feel. That's your job. Is that how you're seeing yourself?
Yeah, I'd say so. I knew that no matter what I was going to be doing, like if I tried to pick up another job and stuff like that, I knew that I was always going to be doing this anyway. So I thought I might as well give a go at trying to put some bricks in the wall while the kids are growing up and I'm focusing on them as well. Um, yeah, just to try and apply myself and give it a go. So I probably, yeah, this is the most I've been a practicing artist, I think.
Mm. Which is so good, and it feels like it's just awesome that you've found that and that you're pursuing that. Yeah, your
Yeah,
dad must be pleased.
yeah. I think deep down, I think he would have liked me to pursue landscapes a bit more. I know
Really?
he loves landscape. He still draws landscapes now, like he loves them. He does do portraits sometimes, but yeah, I just took so heavily to portraiture. Like I love drawing faces and painting faces.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he is chuffed that I'm pursuing it because I put it down for a bit, and he was the one that was like, "Come on, Nat, you should pick it back up." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay,
Isn't that great?
yeah."
Yeah, it's good
Mm.
to have that support. So, can you tell us a little bit about your practice and describe it to us and, especially to people who haven't seen your work before?
Um, I generally, at the minute, I'm predominantly working in oil paint. I love painting faces and I love capturing people in their essence. I love it to be genuine. I don't like staging stuff. Sometimes you've got to get like a seed planted for a project, you need to set something up. But I find that if I put out into the universe that I want to do something and I have an idea, I'm kind of really relaxed about how it comes about. But I generally will try and gravitate towards portraiture or figurative work and yeah, just like I like working on hard surfaces, so ACM, wood panels, or yeah, sometimes on paper, oil paper with paints. I don't really
Mm.
like canvas. I find it too fluffy and rough.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
rarely use canvas. I really enjoy the slickness of being on something extremely firm to get every part of the mark that I'm making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you actually get into painting? How did that process start?
Um, yeah, it was during COVID, and it was actually a conversation that I had with my dad because we had the conversation of what are you enjoying, and I was like I really like doing people and portraiture, and I was drawing the kids a lot with pen and pencil. Um, Drawing baby faces is really nice, and it got me all warmed up. And then my dad was like, if you're gonna do portraiture, you should really have a go with oil paints. There's been some really fantastic portrait artists, and they pretty much all give it a go. You should try some oil paints. So I did. I bought some oil paints, and then
Really?
just went from there.
And how did you learn how to use oil paints? I mean, did you find it tricky or did you do a course?
Uh, now I just gave it a go.
Really?
Yeah, initially I bought like a multi set from Pebio, but I found that some of them could dull a bit, and I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to nice things, so I ended up buying like a Michael Harding set, but I just got black and white, and then I got magenta, cyan, and yellow lake, which was a palette used by I think his name's Colin Davidson. He's an Irish artist. So I just bought a really limited palette and then I just started practicing. I just gave it a go.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's so good. And now you're like, it just feels like it's the absolute best medium for you. You know, your oil paintings are so incredible, and you feel it feels like you're just so incredibly talented. You know, and you haven't actually been using them for very long.
Um, I think there's a lot of skill transfer from pencil and pen. I think like a lot of it, there's something about as long as you're drawing things regularly from life or painting from life and you're still doing observational stuff. I think because you're having to take that time to break things down a lot and really analyze things, you can transfer that analyzing ability to tone breakdown and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't feel like because a lot of people like commented on me using them for a short amount of time, but I honestly think that years of practicing, having to really look and break things down without using any drawing aids, really helped me, yeah, break images down in other ways and like have
Mm,
transferable skills in that way, you know?
yeah. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it all comes down to that sort of observational skills. There's
Mm.
a car just went past. That's good.
Yeah. It's pretty busy here on the road.
Yeah. So, when you say that you like to draw your children, but you've also drawn other people in your life and
Mm.
or other people you've noticed, what is your process for selecting your subject?
Um, it differs, but I generally I like to have a connection with a person enough so that I know them, and I feel like I've got an essence of who they are. I feel like it's important. One of the main motives for me when painting is capturing an essence of them, um, and people being able to recognize them and feel that it's them from them looking at it. Um, and it just, to be honest, a lot of it seems to be coincidental, or people all really warm to being a model for me. Like I've done one of my friends' Leif twice now because he's just, yeah, he's really cool with it. He's handy. He's around. I train with him and stuff, and he's really open to the idea. Um, so yeah, just sometimes I just meet people and I click with them, and I'm like, yeah, they'd be cool to paint.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's your process for capturing them in a moment in time?
Um, I'll, if I can do, my optimal choice would be to get them doing something that they're enjoying or in their environment or where they feel most comfortable or they feel the most good. And then take a photo shoot, go do a photo shoot with them, take a couple of hundred of snaps, probably, you know, over the space of like half an hour to an hour, and then talk to them a bit if I haven't spoken to them much, like talk through the process with them or talk to them about what they like or what they are interested in, and then find my connection with them that I'm going to be putting into the work, like either through like my synesthesia or things like that, based on
Mm,
yeah, just how I feel about them and what they're like in person.
yeah. So
Mm.
great. And it's yeah, your work is amazing. And so speaking of synesthesia,
Yeah.
synesthesia, oh my God. Syne, syne, oh my God, I knew I was going to have a problem with this. Synesthesia, is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think
So,
so.
that's obviously quite a big part of your practice and the way you think and the way you work. So, could you please talk to us about what that is and then how that comes into your work? And I thought we could perhaps talk about a couple of paintings in particular and how that process has sort of developed with that in mind.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I didn't realize that I had it for years. And someone who my dad was working with, he was making a wedding ring with a guy from a printers who used to work in the town we used to live in. And he was explaining it. And I was like, I do that. I see that. And he was like, oh, that's synesthesia. And I was like,
Really?
really? He's like, yeah. And I didn't find that out until I was probably about, I think I was about 14. I was a bit older. Um, but yeah, he was basically sat explaining the crossover of association between colors and numbers and letters. And I was like, yeah, I've got definitely got a color code for the alphabet and for numbers and for like days of the week and stuff. That's just an automatic. like set code. So it's an involuntary crossover of a sensory perception, I guess. So
Mm,
if I see letters or if I see words without really thinking about it, like I can see if they're written in black, but there's like a mind's eye overlay of like, yeah. So Mandy's like orange, red, blue, brownie color, pinky color.
that
So
is
I
cool.
already have this, yeah. So I already have this like automatic assumption that you're a certain color. And sometimes they kind of, if they sit well together, it's kind of like they're quite autumny colors, you know. So they, yeah, sit quite
Interesting.
well.
I'm
Like
glad
an
to hear there's a little bit of pink in there.
yeah, why is pink? So yeah, the
Oh,
first and the last letter usually stand out quite a lot. So if it's like orange and pink, sometimes the middle ones can kind of get a bit noised out the bigger the word gets. And sometimes, yeah, they like the person themselves as well ends up looking like the color because I meet them and realize that oh, they are quite an orange person. Or I don't know. It's like a yeah, it's a bit bizarre, but it's
that's
just an
really
automatic thing that I
interesting.
have.
Yeah, and I can imagine that's just how you think, and you think probably thought that that's how everybody thinks, kind of thing, until you sort of get a description or a definition for it.
Yeah, I've recently looked back into it online because I haven't looked too much into it. I think it's quite common, the one that I've got. It's called grapheme color synesthesia. There's a few others as well, which are like in my mind's eye, when I think about the year, it's kind of like a cuboid cut into slices, like a loaf of bread, and they're each a different color. So January's green, February's blue, and apparently having that 3D holding space and structure in your mind when you think about space or time, that's also a different type. Um, but yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. And do you feel like that is sort of dominates your thoughts quite a bit? Is it there a lot, and you're having to kind of acknowledge it and process it?
It can be quite quiet, to be honest. It's kind of like you can really tune into it. It's like you can focus on it and you can zoom into it, and it can become a main feature of whatever I'm doing if I want to listen to it. Or I can just let it sit in the background, really. So it's not too interfering. Sometimes it feels like a bit of a clash if I'm doing stuff. Sometimes I forget people's names and things like that if they are like Felicity and Harvey are a similar color. You know, like, and sometimes I know that's a male and a female, but you know, if I have like two names that are similar color, sometimes I'll call them the wrong name because in my mind that it's similar, or sometimes it
Mm,
clashes in that way, but it's rare. I usually, yeah, usually it's more of a good thing other than a bad thing.
that's fascinating. And numbers also are a
Yeah,
part of it. So how does that work?
yeah. They just have their own color. They all have their own color code, and I tend to have an association between similar forms and those color, whether it's letters or numbers. So like three is orange, and like M's orange, and like W's orange, and E's orange, and
Mm,
everything with three prongs is orange. If you get what I mean. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
automatically, for some reason, my mind has put together that anything that's of a similar shape, whether it's like three or three prongs, or yeah, they're
yeah.
all orange. So there's like a whole interweb of color and letter association. Like my name's Natalie, and to me it's blue. And like it's the 14th letter of the alphabet, and 14's blue, and N's blue. And yeah, I don't know. My mind's giving me this automatic grid
Mm,
of like color
that's
cross association.
yeah. It's so interesting. And do you feel like because you feel very much like you're blue, do you
Yeah.
does that come through in other ways in your life, do you feel?
Um, Maybe. I really love the color blue. I'm really like drawn to the color blue. Like the water here is gorgeous. It's such a nice blue in New Zealand in the summer. Like I love stuff like that. That color is ace. It's definitely my favorite color.
Yeah.
Um, I'm probably pretty chill as a person, I think. So maybe blue comes through in that way. But
Yeah. Yeah, it could be representing emotion as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Sometimes it does.
do people with synesthesia all see the same colors for the same numbers? Is it, or is it
No.
completely different?
I was looking online recently, and apparently they did a study. I read on this blog somewhere that they did do a study, and there was a lot of people that had similar ones, but they found out that they had the same alphabet toys as a kid. So like they had the same VTech alphabet, like A's red, B's blue, and like a lot of the people that had the same color association, yeah, they had similar toys as a kid. So they think maybe it's an early development thing. I remember that I used to. This is really silly, but when I was little, I used to draw four really big on the wall in the back of my grandma's shop in blue pen. And I remember being like, I've done it in blue because four is blue. And I remember that being really little. So I must have had it since I was writing numbers
Yeah.
and letters. Yeah.
That's fascinating. And there's so many different elements too that I mean it's not really a condition, is it? How I'm not sure how you describe it, but
I don't know.
yeah. But there are lots of different
Yeah.
versions of it, which is interesting as well.
Yeah, it's really multifaceted. I think it's having more connections over those parts of the brain. I think that the color, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the color, numbers, and letters are quite close together in the brain and the parts, the regions, the way you think about them. And I read somewhere online that the chances are you've got more neural connections over those sections in the brain where you're crossing association, and that's why, yeah, you've got more neural pathways over those areas. So you have an
Mm.
automatic assumption. Could be wrong, but that's, yeah. I read online
Mm.
that that's the probability
That
of
makes
why it's
sense.
something.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to talk about how that comes through the work that you make. So let's just start with the Jago Neal painting. Um,
Yeah.
what did you actually call that?
I can't remember.
The
I
Jago
can't
Neal
remember.
painting?
Yeah, to me it was the Jago painting.
Yeah, yeah. So Jago is the manager of Kumu Arts, and you're
Yeah,
part of that family, as am I. And he's a
yeah,
great guy, and has
yeah,
really built this incredible community around Kumu Arts. So
yeah.
can you tell us, why you wanted to paint him, and how the synesthesia sort of influenced the way you worked on that painting?
Um, that one was for I think he was just putting out a thing asking local artists if they wanted to be a part of that exhibition, and it was based on local people in Kumu. And I messaged him and I was like, "Oh, I'm guessing that you're already taken," and he was like, "Nah, no, I don't think. I think he said like not many people had drawn him, or painted him, and I was like, "Oh, really? So can I do you?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, that'd be ace." Um, So yeah, I got him to send me through a reference photo, and that color blurb in the back of the image is like in my mind's eye how I see the colors of his name. So yeah, there's like the J is green and the A is red, and yeah, I just like put them together and I fuse them. I experimented with like a few different ways of how I'm trying to show you how I associate it. So it was really plain. I really was experimenting with how I laid those colours down, but that's the fuzz of the colours that I see with his name. And
Mm,
I thought with them being quite a similar tone, I could use black and white on the top to draw him and try and keep an image of him sharp still without it looking too messy and too interfered, and just keep it real clean and keep with them being different colors so close together to try and not create mess and use. I think the base was oil paint, but then I ended up going on top with charcoal and white charcoal for the
mm,
highlights.
mm.
Yeah,
Beautiful. It's such a great painting, and you've absolutely captured him. Like, there's no doubt it's him, which
I was
is
really happy with that one
clever.
because,
Yeah.
yeah, there's something about that image as well. He took a great reference photo. The light was really nice. Sometimes it just lines up right, and yeah, it just lined up really well.
Yeah, he must have been really stoked with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's got that now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah. So, I mean, it's so interesting, isn't it? With trying to capture a person. I mean, I personally don't know how you do it. I just the way you can capture eyes that you've got their expression, through paint. I just find, or through any medium, is quite incredible. How do you work towards getting that absolute likeness?
Uh, I don't know. I feel like I start with the eyes generally. Um, And I try and start and focus on the focal point and keep that the main place where I spend most of the time. Um, and I try and keep that the main focus by giving that the most love. I think I play around with them a lot. It doesn't start off with the same likeness. I also try to not generically think about what it should look like, and I try and really zoom into what the actual breakdown of those shapes are. So just be real honest about what's actually there instead of what I think should be there, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that helps because if you really take the time to break down the shapes when analyzing anything on a face, it can really bring out character that you would miss otherwise.
Mm. And you
Yeah.
use a photo, like, do you actually do any sort of transference or gridding or anything like that, or is it just purely from looking at the photo?
Yeah. I just get the most satisfaction out of doing it all from scratch. That's the love of it, I think, for me. It was like a strong thing with my dad as well. My dad was like, "You can do it. I know you can do that. Like, I would prefer you to put the work in now, because then when you're older, you're going to be able to just do it. You won't need to use anything."
Mm.
So, as you can imagine, they didn't all start off looking great. But yeah, over time, with a bit of practice and understanding how I enjoy breaking the image down and referencing it, yeah,
Mm.
eventually.
So amazing. I've got so much respect for people who can do that so beautifully as you do. And can you talk to us about how you get the skin so perfect? I mean, I feel like the skin, the way you paint skin or flesh is it's not like it's unique, but there's something quite special about the way you capture that.
I'm not sure, to be honest, because I wasn't classically trained in any way, so I'm not sure how you're supposed to paint skin. um, but I just keep going. I just keep working on it until I feel like I've hit a point where I'm happy. I I generally try to I've got lots of different ways about it as well, and each time I paint, it sometimes it changes depending on what I feel like the painting needs for me to get there. Sometimes I'll do like a bit of a block in, and then I'll refine that. Where other times I'll just blot each tone as it comes. Like if I have a tone on my brush that's of a pinky hue with a slight hint of purple, I'll just blot that on the section where I'm doing it, and then I'll realize if there's anywhere else that has that color, I'll blot it there too, and I'll do like a slow build up of just trying to, just merge these different tones together as I have them on my brush, because I don't pre-mix paint either. I don't pre-mix colors, or I just do it all neat generally. I just
Really?
mix them as I'm going. Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And there are so many different colors and tones and shades and tints in skin. It is quite incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. There's
Mm.
so many. When you actually look at a piece and you break it down, I think that's a lot of what helps hold character in a face as well, because um obviously you can still very do it very well with mixing paint and mixing those pre-colors and hitting those colors really nicely beforehand. But I think it's a face is so multifaceted. There's so much character. You can break it down to really, you can really break down a face. And I think that mixing as you go really helps you hit every tone that you want to hit in each section, and it just pulls life into it. For me,
Mm.
it just works. That's just what works for me.
Mm. So you say when you say mixing as you go, just having it on your brush and then working it on the surface that you're painting on.
Yeah. Like I'll have a palette and I'll have like sometimes I'll put red, yellow, blue. I now use purple dioxide purple. It's really really deep purple. I really enjoy that color. And I'll use two reds now. I'll use a cadmium and magenta. I'll use two blues. Sometimes I use Naples yellow, the genuine one from Michael Hardin. It's a really nice color. It's really expensive and it's I think it's quite dangerous. I think it's made out of pure lead, but
Really?
it's a beautiful color. You just can't capture light on skin the same as what you can with that. I can't anyway. I've tried. It's a really beautiful color. But yeah, I'll just get those colors out on the glass palette and as I see the color on the skin, I'll just try and mix it, and then I'll just move on to another one, and then I'll mix that one, and then I won't pre-mix like a whole lot of different colors. I'll just wing it as I'm going.
Mm, amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
so clever. And but just speaking of the synesthesia again, do you does that have quite a big influence on the way you work for every painting, or are you showing those colors for every painting?
Um, I've started to more now with my work. I think I spoke to a lot of people about it and they were like, why are you not like using that? Like it's quite, I think I had more of an interested response from it than I thought I was going to get. I thought to other people it would just seem quite confusing and quite messy. So at the start, a lot of what I was doing was just practicing using the paints and understanding how to get these flesh tones down. But now I'm starting to just try different methods of getting those colors in there. I quite enjoy doing a colored wash of the colors of the person underneath the painting. Like the last one I just did for Art in the Park of Leif, because I see Leif as being predominantly orange. I did like a underpainting. I actually did that with a spray paint. I did like an acrylic spray from a dark orange to a light orange. And then I did a gesso wash on top, sanded it a bit to make sure it had enough tooth. And then I painted him on top of that, trying to
Mm.
leave some of the orange coming through.
Mm. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like it is so much a part of you that it's nice
Yeah.
to bring it into your work.
Yeah, I'm trying. I feel like initially some of the experiments that I did could seem quite messy. Some of them worked. Like sometimes if I use pencils, I enjoy using colored pencils a lot still because I like the, using pen and pencil thing. Um, Sometimes it looks quite messy, but it worked out quite well on the one that you saw at Kumu, I think. The
Yeah.
one at Leif. That actually used the full palette. I actually made the palette on the side of the work. So there was like a grid so you could see the colours that I'd use. But I
Mm.
used the green for, because he does jujitsu. I train at the same club. We do jujitsu together. But to me, jujitsu is bright green. So I did the background green and then I did the blob of him on top orange. And then I drew him in the palette of, I wrote the different word code down. So I think it was life, jujitsu, MMA, Oliver. And I picked all the colored pencils out that I had in my set of those colors of those letters. And then I used them as like the key code. I used them as the color palette to, yeah, do the drawing.
That is so clever. It's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, I always thought it was more about when you look at somebody, you sort of see colors, but it's not really about that for you. It's more connected to the letters, do you find?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I tend to think of people of colours, but it's predominantly originating from their name usually. When I know
Mm,
what their name is, that's when it solidifies, if you get what I mean. Yeah. So it
okay.
ends up it becomes a part of their character to me.
Yeah. So when you met me first, did you see my pink and orange without knowing? Well, you knew my name already, I guess. But if you
Yeah.
met somebody and you didn't know their name, are you sort of seeing color before you connect with the letters?
Sometimes I do, and then it changes when I find out what their name is. Sometimes I
Mm,
associate them with a colour and or I think that they're a certain colour, but then yeah. I don't know why that is. I think maybe sometimes that's through just me picking up on certain things. It's like Lucas, my son, like his name is Yellow, but to me he is yellow anyway. He's just quite a bright, energetic personality. He just seems
mm,
quite yellow.
mm.
Um, yeah. You actually came across as quite yellow when I met you, and then when I found out what your name, it darkened to more autumny colours.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. Ooh,
Yeah.
I like the sound of being yellow.
It's a beautiful colour.
Yeah, it is. Not that I ever wear it, but it's has good connotations, doesn't it? Yellow. Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So that leaf paint, the painting of your friend Leaf, is very striking in that it's got the sort of the bright green and the orange, and it's quite unique in that way. But then you've really captured him as well. So that
Yeah.
was that for the Kimmy Art Awards?
Yeah. I think I
Yeah.
I did do that one specifically for that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
for that
and that's
awards.
called tenacity. So we'll put these photos
Yeah.
of these works on the blog post. Um, and then you also did another work, which I thought was quite interesting, called Construct, or Construct, not sure exactly
Yeah.
which construct. And that was oil on charcoal. And I thought that was a really beautiful one too. And I read in your Instagram that you say, I love using what's only really necessary and seeing what it really takes to be able to communicate my point. So
Yeah.
that one was interesting in that you painted in parts, but you left a lot of blue and then a lot of sketching as well.
Mm.
So what are you thinking about that and that idea of leaving parts out and only capturing the important bits?
Um, I think I spent a lot of time when I was learning how to do observational drawing and painting. I tend to try and go off of how I feel when I'm progressing through work. And sometimes I found it really tedious to get every little last bit of everything in. And I started just getting really attracted to the idea of, do I really need all that in there? And I really like the linear skeleton of work because I enjoyed using pen and I grew up using pen and pencil and predominantly doing line work and being really selective about how you create those lines and shapes to capture something. I feel like I really refined that process and I really enjoy that because I generally use straight lines as well. I really enjoy that jagged straight line application to cut down those shapes and capture them as minimally as possible, but still managing to get them. And sometimes it feels like a bit of a pity to get rid of them and to go over them. I think it's important to, if you want the character of somebody, to have the character of their face and their skin. So I really enjoy working with capturing flesh. So sometimes I'll do a work or a sketch or a drawing, and I'll spend a lot of time rendering the flesh and the skin. But any clothes or anything like that, I just leave the construct still in, and then
Mm,
just leave it blank.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I love. It's really really effective and beautiful.
I really like the simplicity of it. For
Mm,
me, it draws your eyes to the right point. I don't really want to, I mean, like, some people do fabric beautifully. I've got some friends that do some really beautiful fabric. But for me, I just, yeah, I find it quite tedious. I've
yeah.
got a friend called Tracy. She does it gorgeously. And yeah, I always say to her, like, I take my hat off to you. I just don't have the patience to do all
Mm,
that part. Like, to me, the juicy bit is getting the face and getting it looking like them. And it also helps me get through work as well. So
mm,
I'll do, a piece and I don't have to spend an extra 40 hours on doing the clothes and the bit that I don't necessarily want to do and I don't feel like needs to be there and I can start something else.
yeah, and I love that. I love that attitude that you're like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Like
is
as an
quite
artist, you get to write the rules, right? So
exactly. And it's interesting because, with a figurative portrait, that often is expected, but I think it's quite
yeah.
brave of you and very creative of you to, it's almost like you're finding your new style based on what you can't be bothered painting.
Yeah. I listen a lot to a guy called Rick Rubin. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and his like creative book is amazing, but he talks a lot about the ethos of like going with your intuition and, writing your own rules on how you want to apply yourself in your creative thing and kind of like throwing the rule book out and listening to your inner voice on how you want to apply yourself to your creative practice. And
Mm.
I found it really like reaffirming, because I knew that's what I wanted to do. But obviously, in my area of doing portraiture, it is usually expected for you to create this full, it at the start it felt like it wasn't worth the same unless I was filling the full thing in.
Yeah.
But over time, it just doesn't feel that way anymore. I feel like I'm drowning out parts that I can leave simple and nice on their own if I'm
Yeah.
overworking it.
And it's such
Yeah,
a beautiful combination of your amazing painting skills and your amazing drawing line skills, mark making.
thank
It's
you.
nice to be able to put them both together.
Yeah, I do like the fact that it's keeping them both in there. It's
Mm.
been a bit of a slow transition, I think, with each piece of like, especially with painting. I'm starting to do it with painting, but I'll like leave a little bit less and a little bit less. But I've got to a point now where I can quite boldly leave like large sections and yeah, be really happy with it.
Yeah. And do you feel like that's a time thing or a confidence thing?
Bit of both, probably. The piece that I did for Art in the Park recently, I didn't know if that was gonna be taken that well from the general public, and I try not to have that in mind while I'm making it. But I thought when I get there, like maybe it won't be taken as well, because there is big parts of it that just aren't painted, and I left it as it was, and it actually drew lots of nice attention. Lots of people commented on it saying that that was what they liked about it. So that was cool that it was
Mm,
also what I wanted and also what was like well received from an audience, I guess.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean that's sort of the icing on the cake, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice if it's taken well.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
always it is affirming. And I guess it's sort of a bit of a point of interest in a way, you know, it really I can imagine it brings people in because they're quite intrigued by this slightly different approach.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes it's nice to step out of your comfort zone of what feels safe because that ends up getting you making a consistent choice throughout your work, which ends up developing that style, right? It's your
Mm,
consistent choices that you make throughout your work. So, yeah, I
yeah.
think so.
And it's quite amazing in a way. You haven't been painting that long, but that you've kind of gone down that road and started to develop that style, which I guess you don't use every time you make a painting, but it's quite great that you've achieved that in the short amount of time you've been working in a way.
Yeah, yeah. It just felt natural. I feel like if I'm at a point where my progression's stopped or halted, I just won't paint. I get to a point like I just before that painting that I did last, I had a bit of a break. I had a bit of a I think it was about 5 months. I didn't do any painting for a while, and it's because I was trying to do things that I wasn't wanting to do. And then the guys from Art in the Park got in touch with me, and they were like, "Do you want to come back this year?" And I didn't really have the time when they messaged me because I just had a break. I didn't really have the time to fill a booth or anything. And they were like, "Oh, you can just do one big statement piece." And I was like, "Yeah, that's me."
Really?
So that got me pumping again. I need to be doing things that I want to be doing. So I actually find it hard not to be doing those things that I'm intuitively drawn towards. Otherwise, I just kind of like drop my practice a little bit and I kind of fall out of
Mm,
love with it.
yeah. And what
Yeah.
happened with your sort of 5 month hiatus? What caused that, do you think?
Oh, it was when I broke up with the kid's dad, and I was just going through a phase of refinding life with the two kids on my own here. So I actually wanted to do work throughout it, but it just wasn't happening. I was putting pen to paper. Everything I was doing, I was like, no, it's not working. And I realized that this was probably just a good time to have a bit of a breather. I just had a bit of a good run um, the year before. I'd had a good run with like comps and things like that, and did heaps of socializing and things like that. So I thought, yeah, I'll just take a break out and then I'll come back to it when I'm ready. And yeah, I feel like the
Yeah.
universe sent me a sign to pick my brushes back up.
Yeah, that's so good. And often it's about sort of accepting that, you're going through other stuff. You've got, I am sorry to hear that your relationship ended, but it's as an artist, it's about acknowledging, what's happening with yourself and accepting that maybe
Yeah,
it's not the best time to be making. Yeah.
yeah. And coming back from that, I feel like everything I'm doing now is just feeling really great. I feel like I needed that break. And
Yeah.
so many other artists that I spoke to about going through that have said the same thing. They were like, sometimes you just need that pause and you come back and you're like, oh, everything's just going so much nicer. It feels nice to be back, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
good. Yeah. And great that you're back. And
yeah,
you have done a lot of life drawing, which really sort of fits with the way you think and like to work with your observational drawings and that kind of thing. Um,
yeah.
can you tell us about how life drawing has really helped with your practice?
Oh, it's great. I love life drawing. I should do more, to be honest. I feel like that should, if I could, I would predominantly just do life drawing other than working from references. because I feel like it's a really honest it's a really honest practice. Nothing really pulls apart your ability to produce work than um, being just really honest with yourself and working from life other than from a reference or anything that's been broken down for you in any way. So yeah,
Mm.
there's a guy called Mark Whippy. He does like drawing courses and stuff, but he organizes life drawing and life painting classes, which are really cool. And yeah, he does like a 3 hour sitting sometimes, so we can go and paint from life, which is quite hard to find. There's not too many people that want to do it, I don't think. So it's really cool to go down with him sometimes and paint
Mm.
from life there. But it just helps. It helps sharpen up those skills real fast, like faster than you think. Hey, like you put yourself in a hard position. Like, yeah. I think when you throw yourself in the deep end, you learn to swim. You've got to learn how to
Mm.
do it when you make yourself do something quite hard.
Yeah. And do you have that approach that some people have of just drawing fast drawings, like drawing after drawing after drawing, or are you more like trying to perfect one
Um,
work?
I probably try and hit the whole span. I try and do a bit of everything. Like it's good in the life drawing sessions because the ones that I do with Orion, we start off with like a 2 minute pose, 5 minute pose, 20-minute pose. And I like the variation because it pulls out completely different work. My last piece is completely different to my initial one. So I think they're all important. I think that being able to do a fast one and being able to also do a carefully rendered one, I think it brings different skills to the table and they're all really applicable.
Mm. And can you
Mm.
use those drawings sometimes as a sort of starting point for a painting?
I haven't, but I've recently thought about that. I've thought about the idea of drawing my drawings and using my drawings because I think I was actually sat sketching my own work when I was sat at Art at the Park. Like we had a bit of a minute before everyone was coming in, and I was sat sketching it. And it's quite funny how when you draw your own work that's already broken down, you become very gestural. And I quite like the idea that it's creating more character with even more simplicity. Like ideally, I think as an artist, I'd love to get to a point where I can really refine down. So I use minimal marks and I use minimal strokes. And I think that's where I want to go. I want to be able to produce the best work with as little application as possible. I find that really skillful. People who can, draw and paint from life and use very minimal lines, very minimal running out. I think that's like the coolest skill. Like I would love to be able to refine that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have a sort of something in your mind of where you'd like to head with your practice, I suppose. And I feel like
Yeah.
already in the last, 5 years, your work, you can see how it's evolving, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is cool. I read that you said it's hard to find the line when you aren't trying to prove your worth through skill application. And I find that quite an interesting idea that, as an artist who's capturing um, somebody's personality and, trying seeking that true likeness, that balance
Mm.
between your sort of expression, creative expression, and then also showing how skillful you are with your painting and your drawing to capture that exact face or that person. What did you mean by that?
Repeat the line to me again.
It's hard to find the line when you aren't trying to prove your worth through skill application.
I'm trying to think how I can break it down. I think when you're trying to prove yourself with a painting, you really can over render. You can really over render the image. And you can really go outside of, like, how I said I like being self managing and I like going off of intuition with work. I feel like it can be really quite difficult to separate yourself from feeling obliged to fill in that full image and fill in that full painting and leave what you want to leave. It was along those lines of that ethos that I'm trying to keep to. Um, and yeah, it can be hard to let go. I think it's a bit of an ego thing. I feel like you want to show somebody that you can make something really, really look like it, but there's so much more to talk about when you manage to capture them with less. So I feel like you have to let go of, like when you start off as well with an Instagram account and you're trying to get followers and a following and people that are interested in your work, you start off with realism. You find that they fall in love with your ability to capture somebody and capture the image really well. And I think like there's a bit of a gap in between that and that next step of really toning things down where you don't think it's going to be as well received. So yeah, I found it a bit of a transition, trying to get to this more minimal place with the line. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically the ethos we were talking about of just letting go
Yeah.
of the ego and just doing what you actually want to do.
Yeah. And then yeah, I can totally understand that. And also, people's expectations of you and what the kind of work that you make, getting trapped
Yeah,
into that box.
yeah. Because I'm quite fast shifting usually as well. If I feel like I'm riding a wave of something else, I'll quite fastly like, this is what I'm doing now,
Yeah.
and I'll run with that. And I try to, blinkers on and earmuffs on. I try and ignore what anyone else is gonna think of it, and I try and just run in that direction. I'm pretty lucky in the sense that it's been pretty well received, and
Yeah.
it's nice to get some positive feedback. But that comes last. I try and I think that I produce my best work when I'm being honest with myself.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. That's so good. Well done. And
thank
your
you.
glow bear work, which is amazing, which is, I presume, one of your children at night time with
Yeah,
holding a nightlight type thing. Yeah,
yeah,
which is incredible. And I feel like that's a different approach again, where you've really been thinking about light or lack of light. How did you
yeah.
approach that one?
I actually wanted to. I wanted to try and create depth without using any black, and I wanted to practice really trying to break down what's actually creating that tone. And it's using that purple again that I really like, that really deep purple. That was a lot of the background was using that deep purple. But yeah, I had this beautiful reference photo and it wasn't staged. He was laid in his bed and he was hugging his bear. And I was like, I'm going to go take a photo, stay there. And I went and got my phone and I came back and I took a quick photo of him. And I do that a lot. Like I collect all these different images, and I have all these different folders online of things that might want to paint at some point. And yeah, I just pulled it up, and I was just like, oh, I just want to have a go at it. I think it'll make a really nice image. So just through curiosity, really, of wanting
Yeah.
to see if I could capture the warmth that I could see in the image.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you've got the darkness, but also the kind of light coming off the night light, which is and the sort of orangeness of that. It's such a
yeah.
beautiful contrast and yeah, it's quite a unique painting, I think. I really love that one.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like some of the old paintings where, to be honest, I don't study them probably as much as I should, but there's quite a few that I like that are at candlelight and things like that. And the simplicity of having the just surrounding highlights from that single light, I think it's really beautiful to be able to hone in on. Like what I like about, just keeping that focal point and area in the painting and knowing that you can really focus on that and make it really juicy and really nice to look at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah, it's great. You totally nailed it. It's amazing.
Thanks.
So I'm just going to stop for a second. And now and then you do like to take your glasses off and paint. So in a way that I guess you're not seeing the image that you're working on as clearly. What's that all
Yeah.
about?
I think I think when I had my glasses on, I realized that I was really over focusing on detail, and I was creating a lot of noise and frustration for myself, especially in the early stages when I was painting. Um, and when I took my glasses off, it felt like it just made more sense. I was seeing the tones in a way that I could actually create looser brushstrokes and looser mark making that came together just as well as if I'd have done it with my glasses on. And now when I'm painting, if I have my glasses on when I'm painting and then I realize I've got my glasses on, I'll realize that's why it's not going as well as it normally does. And it's now ended up a prime part of my practice. I don't paint being able to see it 100% anymore.
Really? That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I thought at first when I started doing it, I was like, oh, I need my glasses on. I need to be able to see everything. I need to see like, every little bit of what makes it up. But um, like a part of me feels like, because I'm quite short-sighted, and I feel like part of it is I'm just meant to be able to sit back and zone out and get rid of the noise a little bit.
Mm,
Because it just, for me, it makes painting more enjoyable. I use bigger strokes. I'm just more broad. It's just a nicer experience. And that's what it's about, right? You're trying to create that space where you can be as creative as possible and you
yeah.
can produce your best work. And I just find that I get to that place better if I don't get too caught up on, yeah, teeny weeny bits and I can try and look at it better overall. It helps me zoom out.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
so fascinating and probably very helpful for some people listening because, we have talked quite a bit about artists wanting to loosen up a little bit and, maybe that's a good approach. Take your glasses off, people.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
for the eyes, I'll probably keep my glasses on if it's something that I know that I need to hit really like,
Yeah.
because the eyes have got so much in them to be able to create that depth, to be able to capture them. But yeah, for like big parts of big paintings, especially hair and things like that, I was just really getting like mentally frazzled trying to. I was like breaking it down, but then seeing another way to break it down and seeing another way. But then I took my glasses off, and it's almost like the tones just made more sense. And yeah, I think there's like I went down to go paint with the guys at the dye studio in Wellington last year, and they were using like a tool. Ben was using like a tool that was like a reflective thing that the old masters use at like towards the end of the painting to see if the tones were like, and it simplifies the tones. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's doing a similar thing. I take my glasses off and it's simplifying the groups of tones for me, and it's yeah helping me be a bit clearer about it without getting too caught up.
Mm. And that's great
Mm.
that you can actually do that, that you're allowing yourself that freedom in some ways.
Yeah, another one of these rules that I'm trying to not have and
Yeah.
just do what feels right when I give it a go.
Exactly, totally. And I think
Yeah.
it's brave in a way. I mean, some artists would like to get there but just can't quite allow themselves. So it's great that you're doing that.
I feel like even when you're playing though, no one needs to see it. No one needs to see you experimenting. And the good thing about painting is you can do it and it can be horrible and you can make these mistakes and you can just paint over it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I think you need to. I think if you're not willing to make mistakes, then you're not gonna put yourself in a position where you can experiment to your full extent of seeing what potential you've got when it comes to playing, I think.
Yeah, so true. And
Yeah.
you are very good at entering things that I think push you probably and challenge you.
Yeah.
Things like Artists on Artists, which was
Mm.
an amazing event where artists are painting other artists,
Yeah.
and then all your work was showing up and sort of like they said, linking like a chain, which I think that's a really lovely concept.
Mhm.
So, can you tell us briefly about that opportunity, and then maybe we can talk about art in the park as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Lindsay reached out to me. She's been doing it for a while, I think. I think she does in between Auckland and Wellington, but she's really cool. She's really nice. She's really chill. I think she does neurobiology, neuroscience is more of her main thing. But she does all this cool art stuff as well. So yeah, she organizes this exhibition, and yeah, it was just really cool. I got to go and meet the person that I would be painting, which ended up being Steve. He
Steve
works
Love
at
Steve
Elam.
Steve Lovett.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I actually went over to his place and we sat, and the process that we spoke about earlier of me getting to know them, and because I didn't know him beforehand, she just got us all in touch with each other, and yeah, we got to like hang out. I also met Jalal, who drew me, and yeah, I just spent time with both of them and got to know them a little bit. I actually took a small video of Steve and I sketched him while I was there from life while he was chatting about his stuff and his creative practice and what gets him ticking. He's got a really cool ethos on how he works. It was really refreshing talking to him. But yeah, so then I got those references to work from, and Jalal got the ones from me for his drawing, and yeah, we got to do the exhibition together. I
That's so
liked that
great.
exhibition beforehand. I followed her doing that exhibition, and I thought that's really cool because I love
Yeah.
portraits, obviously. Anyway, I thought that's a really nice idea of creating that lens, being able to see through everyone's lens in sequence. I
Yeah,
thought that
I
was
love
really
that.
cool.
It's such a great
Yeah,
concept, and that was shown at Studio 122 in Auckland, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, I love
yeah,
that. And the painting that you did of Steve, and maybe Steve might like to come and join me on the podcast sometime, would be nice. Um,
yeah.
that was very blue. So were you thinking blue, like that was his big color that was coming through?
I actually sat and spoke to him for a while, and my initial thought was that I was going to create it because he's got quite a short name. I thought I'm going to create the full image with the full color palette from his name. But then, as I got talking to him, he was wearing a black shirt, and we sat at his kitchen table, and he actually was like, "I'm actually quite averse to color." And I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm quite like I actually, some colors I really like and I'm okay with, but yeah, I'm quite averse to color actually." And I found that really interesting. And I thought, I'm not going to go crazy with the full color palette. I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to try and pay homage to him and who he is and incorporate that. So it started off with the purples. I tried to use the purples, and the V is like a grey blue. So I thought I'm going to run with that palette and I'm going to try and keep it quite purpley and keep those more, just less vibrant. It still ended up quite vibrant, but in a more downtone kind of way. There wasn't like bright oranges in there, which is orange to me. So I didn't throw in those random bright colors that would feel really chaotic for him. I tried to keep it quite subtle. Yeah.
Mm, it's an incredible painting. Yeah, it's amazing. And what did you end up capturing him doing?
The image that I got of him, he was sat at his kitchen table talking to me. He was just talking about his practice and his work and what he loves to do and where he ended up going. He told me how he was starting and he worked in print and things like that. And yeah, I just sat and talked to him about his process and yeah, I met his cat and he gave me some bay leaves out of his garden and it was really wholesome. It was really nice. He's
Oh,
a
that
really
sounds
lovely guy.
lovely.
It was
Yeah.
really lovely. Yeah, it was a really nicely, yeah, just all fell into place. But yeah,
Mm. What a great
yeah,
experience. I mean, aside from the actual
mm,
painting, just that connection, and
yeah.
it's kind of community building too, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool to connect with him. It was funny as well. Like he's actually quite well known, and I put my image up of him. Also, I think they uploaded the image up of him on Instagram, and I was tagged in it. And I had friends that are from Art in the Park that were like, "Oh, that's my teacher. He's my print teacher." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And they're like, "Oh yeah, how come you're?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just this exhibition that I'm doing with these guys." And yeah, it's cool how it all interlinks.
Yeah, it's so good.
Mm,
And Art in the
yeah,
Park, which is, probably most of the listeners know, but is an event at Eden Park in Auckland every year. And the
yeah,
last one has just been. Your first one was at 2023, your first Art in the Park?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
2023.
I'm always quite
Yeah.
fascinated with how portraiture goes down with people who don't know you or don't know the person that you've painted or
Yeah.
whether they want to own a portrait of somebody that they don't know and especially when you've painted the person who you really have a connection and a relationship with. How do you find
Mhm.
sales go in that kind of environment?
I think if there's anywhere to sell work, that's a really great place. They get a lot of people through. It's really popular. That was also my question when I was originally going in. I was like, I'm not sure if this is going to be too personal for people. I feel like in the UK, it's very different. Their attitude towards owning a portrait is more seen as art other than it being personal. I think it's way like polar opposite here. Um, but I have had sales throughout in the park. I do sometimes. There was a guy that was interested in that piece this year, but I didn't sell my big one of Leith this year. But I feel like with a big statement piece that was more expensive, that was probably going to be presumed other than having a booth where I had more, more affordable pieces. But I've seen a lot of portraiture there sell
Yeah.
and go really well. Yeah. So, but they have such a vast variety that I think, like, with pulling in a crowd that big, you've really got the pick of choice of what kind of style of work you want to own. They have lots of different things in there.
Yeah. And do you
Yeah.
find being there and being able to talk to your viewer or your audience is helpful?
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's really cool seeing who wants to buy your work because I find that I have a really mixed bag. There's been some people that are really interested in me as an artist and they'll follow my work and follow me on Instagram. And sometimes they're an artist themselves that are just getting into it and they like it because they like my application. And then like other people, like I've done portraits of animals one year. They did well at Art in the Park, and one of the guys who bought a Gurnard painting that I had, I tried to give him a business card, and he was like, "Oh no, thank you, love. I just want the painting," and he didn't know who I were, or it's like I just want the fish, and then he left.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah, I just have this real mixed bag, but it's actually quite cool because I think in your mind you fill in the gaps. So it's actually really cool to see that you don't actually know who's going to be your buyer and you don't know who's going to be interested and things that you might not like that much, someone might love. So it gives you a bit more confidence of putting your work up for sale, seeing how many people actually take to your stuff.
Yeah. And it's such a great way to connect with other artists, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really nice bunch that are there. They do
Mm.
swap out the artists each year so that you get a variety each year that you go to the show. But there's some that are regulars. Like there's a team that I generally am around when I exhibit there because I went in through the King's Trust. So we like this year that we went in, we had a sponsor with MAS, and they sponsored our area, which was really really nice of them. And
Mm.
the
So what
artists
does
that
that
I
sorry, what does that mean if they sponsor your area?
they paid for our stand.
Oh,
So
that's
they
good.
sponsored our space. We had a room upstairs. So yeah, I think I can't remember how many artists were up there. Maybe like 10 to 15 artists were up there. Maybe like about 10. But yeah, there was a decent group of us and there was like a room upstairs in the show and we had our own section. And yeah, they paid for our booths or our statement piece area. And they were just really supportive and really lovely. They actually they went all out on being super lovely and they all came to talk. I think that's a bit of a concern sometimes as an artist that you feel like your sponsors and the professional side of things might not be your crowd. And that
Yeah.
was probably my concern, is that I wasn't going to be able to jam with them very well and they weren't going to be my people, but they were super lovely. They were really kind. They even brought us a packed lunch one day to make sure that we'd eaten in the show. They were
Really?
really nice. Yeah, they
That's
were
so
super lovely.
nice. And how
Yeah.
do you get sponsorship? Were you approached or how does that work?
Art in the Park messaged me and said that yeah, the MAS Insurance were gonna be sponsoring an area this year, and I was one of the emerging artists that came through the King's Trust, so they offered me a spot,
Mm,
which was really nice
so
of them.
good. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
brilliant.
super
Eh,
lucky.
That's really lovely. And you have entered quite a few art awards, some of them like through Kumeu Arts and
Mm.
Waitakere Art Awards, which is, I guess, the art awards in your kind of West Auckland area,
Yeah,
but also the Adam Portrait Award you've entered, haven't you?
yeah. I think
Yes.
that was one of the first ones. Adams was probably one of the first ones that I entered. Yeah, and Parkin. I like ones that are I try and hit ones that are like focusing on portraiture and stuff, but I do tend to try to hit a few other ones. I think initially it was giving me a good motive to have a focus with my work of making sure that I'm constantly producing so that I had pieces to put in. But I think now I'm more producing work and then finding where to put them other than making a piece for the competition. Sometimes they've obviously got specifications for their entry conditions. Like I think Adams still has to be painted, other than drawn, and there's things that you have to hit to be able to enter into them that you have to bear in mind. But But yeah,
But you feel
no.
like it's a good way to kind of keep you moving. Is it something that you want to continue doing, do you think?
Yeah, I think I'll try again this year. I think it was a good way for me to just reach a wider audience quickly. Like my networking went pretty fast as soon as I was getting into the finals of ones that were getting some really cool established artists in because yeah, we just kept in touch on
Mm,
Instagram. Like there's groups now that I still keep in touch with and I talk to. Sometimes I go and see and I paint with them and yeah, it's just really cool. It's really nice to
yeah.
have a really similar bunch of people as well to bounce ideas back and forth with that I
That's
do sometimes.
great. Yeah, it's so good, and
Yeah,
it probably even more so for you because you're on the other side of the world from your family and where you grew up, and you've
yeah,
got your kids and you're doing that. You've got that's always pretty full on, looking after
yeah,
your kids, and yeah, it must be a real support for you and your practice to have those kind of connections.
yeah. It's nice. It just feels like you have a bit of a broader depth, I guess, in the field other than you just swimming alone, I guess, in the pool.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just find that they're really nice people. Like the people that I'm still friends with now, like the guys from Wellington that I exhibited with in the finals like years ago. Like I still talk to some of them now. I still speak to Sam regularly, and yeah, like Tracy. There's been a few things that we've been in the finals together, and we still speak regularly. She has a an exhibition coming up, and that's going to be portraiture based with one of her friends. I can't remember how you pronounce her name, Carlisle, I think. I think she's going to be on the podcast soon, actually. I think she's spoken to you.
Yes, I
Uh,
know who you mean. Yeah. Um,
yeah, yeah,
Ca- oh yeah, we'll have to. I can't. Carla Lease or something like that. Yeah,
yeah. I'm really bad with names.
yeah, we can't see the colors there. It's not helping.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm good friends with Tracy, so it's really cool to keep in touch with her, and we still bounce ideas back and forth. And yeah, she's doing that exhibition soon, so it's nice to be able to
Mm,
redo something with her again. And yeah, it's
yeah,
nice.
that's so good. I might have to get Tracy on. What's her last name?
Coakley.
Yes,
I think it
I
was
think.
Clooney, but it's Coakley now. I think after she was married.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure she's quite engaged with my Instagram, and yeah, I might have to get her on.
she's
So is
super
there?
lovely.
Yeah, she seems super lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you struggle with in your practice?
Um, I think the main thing that causes friction is probably finding enough time in one sitting to get into a flow. I think that's my main issue right now. Because I have young kids and my schedule of work either runs through the night while they're sleeping, and then I'll come home and have a nap during the day while they're at school, or I'll try and fit some time in during the day. I work best at night though. It's just my brain works better when the whole world has stopped for some reason on
Yeah.
this side of the world anyway. So I think yeah, that's probably my biggest stint at the minute is finding a long enough period of time to something magic just starts to happen past 3 hours. As soon as I've worked for 3 hours and I start to go into like an autopilot, and I zone out a little bit and I'm less tense and I'm just in what I'm doing. I just produce better work. So I
Yeah.
think my problem at the minute is trying to get into that position.
Yes, I can understand that. And do you have a special light or anything that helps with the nighttime painting?
I'm using two LED strip lights at the minute. They're like writer's desk ones and they've got a clamp on them. So I can clamp them to anything as I'm working. Because I work with ACM, they're pretty handy to screw to the top. But I've just ordered some nice studio lights, some video ones. But they're coming from overseas, I think. So they'll be here in a couple of months.
Mm.
Hopefully, they'll be
Oh,
really nice.
yeah, that's exciting. Do you have a
Yeah.
studio where you live in your house?
I use my garage. Yeah, that's my studio at the minute. I'm really lucky in the sense that it's really big and it's got high roofs and it's just a nice space. Everyone that comes in is like, "Oh, this is a nice place to paint in." I'm like, "I know, I'm super lucky. Like, it's
That's
just a
so
nice
good.
space."
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I'm predominantly painting at the minute.
Oh, that's brilliant. And do you have any little rituals um, around studio life or painting?
Um, I tend to have a matcha first. I tend to make myself a matcha. I've been
Yes,
having a matcha before painting for like the
that's
last
my
10
new
years.
it's my new favorite thing. I've just discovered it. Somehow I managed to get a matcha here in Turkey, And it was
Oh
like, oh
yeah,
my God, it's delicious.
it's so good. I just find that I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee. It just rattles me too much. It's funny. I worked as a barista for years, but I just don't. Yeah, I don't get along with coffee too well. But the theanine in matcha is really calming for me, and I
Mm,
find that it helps to keep the mind noise at bay. So yeah, I'll make myself a matcha, and then I'll just head out to the garage, make sure I've got some nice music on or a podcast. I tend to bounce between the two. Yeah, it's either creative or neuroscience podcasts generally. And
mm.
then yeah, I'll just set up and start to paint, try and relax into it.
Yeah. And you do that sort of Monday to Friday quite religiously?
I haven't been since I had my break, to be honest. But yeah, when I can do, it tends to be me trying to work at night. I try to work at night and do that once the kids have gone down at about 8 o'clock, and then I'll try and wrap up about midnight to 1 o'clock
Oh,
maybe, and
wow.
then
So
I
you
know that
don't,
I'll
you,
be.
sorry,
Sorry.
you don't paint during the day at all?
Sometimes I do, but I find that I I just get distracted. I would love to think that I could just come back from dropping the kids off at school and get tucked into painting, but I find a lot of the time I'm just blinded by things that I need to do around the house, and I find that I get quite easily distracted with my day-to-day things that I also need to have going on. And I train a lot as well, so throughout the day I'll make sure that we've got our training gear and the kids' lunch is packed for when we're down at the gym and things like that. So
Yeah.
I find it's best that when the day is done and everything is done and everyone's sorted and tucked up in bed and it's quiet, it's a really good time for me to get my flow on and everything else is all the noise is gone.
Yeah.
Just
You've
yeah.
done all your you've gone through your to-do list kind of thing during the day. Yeah, I totally understand
Yeah.
that. And
Mm.
it's nice sometimes it's like your sort of your quiet time and you it's like it's almost like the nighttime is a sort of extra time that you're not thinking I should be doing these other things and all that other
Yeah.
like you say the noise. So yeah, I can see that that would be your little haven time.
And I don't work in natural light either. I work just under with like flesh tones being so temperamental and with the light changing throughout the day. I found that when I was painting, like in daylight, I was just chasing my tail, just changing it all day, because it's just got to be so accurate for it to look right. So, yeah, I tend to shut all the lights out in my garage. Like, I don't have any windows. I have a door and I have a big garage door that I can open if I want to do something standing in daylight, but I have it shut and I have my lamps on. So, it can be beautifully sunny outside, and I will miss it if I am inside
Mm.
my garage all day under artificial light.
That's so interesting. You'd think it would
Mm.
be the opposite in a way, but to get the exact right colors, you'd think you'd need the light. Yeah.
Yeah, it changes though so much from morning till afternoon. It
Mm.
changes a lot. So the temperature of the colors that I'm working with, they start to look like they're not right from the reference to the painting after a few hours.
Yeah.
If I get a good stint, if I'm doing it for like a good chunk of the day, like throughout the day. So yeah, I find
Mm.
that if to save the frustration of me chasing my tail, I can do like the skeleton of it under natural light. That's nice. Doing like the underneath the pencil marks and the line work in natural
Mm.
light. But yeah, when it comes to the color time, I shut all the light out and I have my light on.
That's fascinating. Amazing. And so, what would you say to somebody, an emerging artist like yourself, starting up, or even somebody sort of earlier in their journey? What advice have you got for them?
I would just try and keep out all the noise from external sources and just really listen to yourself, because the path that you're going to end up on that's probably going to do you the most justice as an artist is probably not the one that you're thinking you're on right now if it's early. There's just so much to explore. Just don't feel limited by what other people are expecting you to produce.
Mm, yeah,
I think
good
so.
advice. And what do you feel like is one of the most significant moments in your artistic career?
Oh, that's a question. Um, I don't know, to be honest. I feel like it's all bricks in the wall. It's all important.
Mm,
But like I don't feel like there's been anything that's been like the ultimate turnaround yet for me.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm slowly putting bricks in the wall and building up. Like, the idea in my mind was that I was going to slowly build up a foundation until the kids were in school, and then I was going to try and hit the ground running. So I think it's been like, I've been really fortunate with like awards and things, but I feel like they're all just slowly contributing, I guess.
Yeah.
The Adams
Yeah.
Portraiture one was a good one for me. I think that opened my eyes to the higher level of quality of work that I got to exhibit with. That was a good eye opener. Actually,
Yeah.
going down to Whirley into the National Portrait Gallery and meeting the other artists who are regular contenders who do really well, who make beautiful work. That was probably the biggest eye opener.
Mm. Yeah. That's great. And it's amazing that your work is being, you know, shown in that kind of in that platform and to that level. You know, you're doing so
Yeah,
well with your work. Yeah.
I felt
And
very, very lucky.
yeah, oh, it's talent, pure talent. It's got you there.
Thank you.
Mm. And what or who inspires you in your work?
My dad's a big one, as you probably would guess. I think he's the thing that keeps me going because he taught me some pretty good values of being consistent with something that you know you're never going to reach the finish line. And it's a constant journey of evolution, and you're never going to stop growing, and you're always going to get better. So he's a big influence in that sense that even if I'm in a place where I'm stuck, I know there's a bigger picture that I'm working within. Um, and there's heaps of artists that I like, but probably it sounds really cliche, but being around my kids, and I'm constantly analyzing how gorgeous they look in certain things and situations and stuff. It sounds really generic, but like I take a lot of photos of them in situations that just everyday life and how it would make a beautiful portrait. So having them around constantly keeps me thinking about how I can make fresh, nice work with different perspectives as they evolve.
Mm. That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
what a wonderful record of your kids' younger lives. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to record them in that sense. I guess it's
Yeah.
putting them through my lens, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I think it's so lovely that you've got that connection with your dad and he's all the way through, really. He's given you that amazing foundation at the beginning and then continues to support you like that. And I did see that you sent him a sketchbook or a book of sketches, went off to
Yeah.
dad. So
Yeah.
is he really interested in what you're up to?
Yeah, he always wants to be updated on what I'm doing, and yeah, he's always very encouraging of me to be constantly progressing and not to stand still and make sure that I'm pushing myself and challenging myself to be doing things a little bit too far out of my comfort zone to make sure that I'm stretching and growing, which is
Mm,
nice.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a mentor in your life, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
lovely.
does that within his own work. Like he did used to draw and paint a lot, but now he's doing a lot of jewelry stuff and stone cutting, and like he's always doing these cool projects and stuff. So it's nice to
Mm,
have an example around me of, you don't need to be doing a 9 or 5 if you don't want to. You can actually try and pursue what you love if you want to.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
what's coming up in the future for you, Nat?
Um, this exhibition with Tracy is coming up, which is cool. I'll be working towards that. I think I'm going to do a another painting soon. I'm thinking about entering the Adams Portraiture Award again. It's been a while since I entered it. I think I've put a few more tools in my toolbox than I had the first time, so come with some different fresh work, I think. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have a go at painting myself naked
Really
and like doing some random things that all the cool artists from the past have done, and um,
amazing.
yeah, I think it's just a really honest way of like stretching yourself and challenging yourself, and yeah, I've got lots of just like random little projects like that that I just want to have a play with.
Mm, so good. And we haven't talked about your self-portraits, but there have been quite a few self-portraits popping up here and there.
I started off initially doing a lot. I think it's because it's easy at the start because you have yourself as a model. When you don't have many other people at the beginning, or you're feeling a bit sheepish about painting other people because you have to have the right person who will accept your work, right? Because some people want to be painted in a certain light. So it can be quite conscious being an artist and asking someone to model for you. So in the beginning, yeah, I did paint myself a lot, but then I got kind of bored of it. Yeah, but
Well,
yeah, I think I'm due one. I've not done one for a while, so
I love that.
yeah.
I love the idea of, yeah, that would be quite raw and powerful work, I imagine, capturing yourself naked. And I love the one
I,
of you with the toothbrush in your mouth. That's you, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love that one. Are you
yeah.
trying to express certain things through capturing yourself?
Uh, I'm just trying to be really honest. I feel like I just resonate better with everything that I'm trying to hit goal wise, and like how my work looks and the audience that I'm trying to reach and what I'm trying to, create, if I'm just as honest with myself as possible. So if I like a reference but it's really quite raw, I still try and do it anyway. And I think that if I paint myself naked and do something so like brutally honest, I feel like there's no room really for misconception in there. It's going to be an honest display of my skill, and it's going to be an honest display of, yeah, of who I am as an artist. It's all going to come out. You can't really hide anything there, not even me. So,
Mm. Yeah, I love it. That's a great challenge. Yeah, brilliant.
yeah.
Oh, well, Nat, thank you so much. It's just been so interesting and fascinating and talking about, things like synesthesia, that one, that word that I still have trouble with. It's really fascinating. I've never really talked to somebody who has that and lives with that and responds to that. So that was really interesting. And yeah, I just think your practice is incredible. I feel like you're going to go so far. So thank you so much for being on
Thank
Creative
you.
Connection.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Okay.